Well, good evening, friends, comrades, and fellow workers. It's Thursday, January the 12th, 2017. I trust this little note finds you well. A quick message about the Central Intelligence Agency. Given what's happened with Donald Trump, and I won't call him president-elect, and I will not call him president, in my view, he is quite possibly a traitor and quite possibly guilty of treason against the people of the United States of America. But somebody asked me whether or not I believed any information that comes out of the CIA. I mean, after all, aren't they the ones that botched the whole investigation that led up to the Iraq War? Why should we trust anything that comes out of the CIA? Well, I'd like to answer that if I could. And the answer is this. The Central Intelligence Agency conducted investigations into whether or not Iraq was reconstituting and accelerating a nuclear research program and research programs into the use and production of biological and chemical weapons. President Bush used this as a red line in the sand, saying that if we find evidence of weapons of mass destruction, we will invade and we will depose Saddam Hussein. So the information was gathered, and I think we all remember the fateful testimony in front of the United Nations with Colin Powell and his vial of anthrax and his maps and satellite shots and his declaration to the world that it was beyond doubt that Saddam Hussein had reconstituted his biological and chemical weapons program and was fast moving towards a nuclear device. And so we can conclude then that the CIA had botched the intelligence work and that they can't be trusted. Well, the answer to that is that's completely false. The truth is, the Central Intelligence Agency gathered that information and left several scenarios. These are possible explanations for what we're observing here on the ground in Iraq. The least likely scenario happened to be that they had a biological, chemical, and nuclear weapons program. That was the very least likely scenario, and it was the least supported by any of the evidence. We know this because Colin Powell's senior advisor, Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, who is flying all over the country, writing books and lecturing about this very subject, says that he told Colin Powell, as he handed him the manila folder with the information in it, that there's no reason to believe that Iraq was doing what they're being accused of. There's no justifiable or evidentiary reason to believe this. And an invasion of Iraq would be a gross violation of international law. It would be an act of aggression, which is the highest crime in international law, because once you committed the act of aggression, you're guilty of all the violations of law that follow therefrom. So, no, the information from the CIA was not bad. No, the information from the IAEA was not faulty. They were all correct. They were deliberately manipulated. They were deliberately and maliciously lied about to the world community by Bush, by Tony Blair, and by Colin Powell, Donald Rumsfeld, Dick Cheney, and the rest of the bloodthirsty cowards who sat in the top of ivory towers behind mahogany desks, wishing thousands upon thousands of American and British and countless other nations, young men and women, to their deaths, not including into account the millions of Iraqis who are displaced or killed in violence. So yes, the CIA collected information. No, it was not bad information. Yes, it was lied about. And in my view, the aforementioned men are guilty of high crimes against the citizens of the world and should be tried in The Hague. Now, the second issue this brings up is Donald Trump himself. Donald Trump is committing acts right now that can be read in the Nazi archives. And I say that without fear of rebuke or regret. Adolf Hitler spent many, many minutes and many, many hours behind podiums calling the press the lying press whenever they happened to print a story that was not to his liking. He convinced many, many multiplied millions of people that he was telling the truth and everybody else was mistaken. Every other news outlet was mistaken or lying deliberately about him. Only he was telling you the truth. Does this sound familiar? It should. And now the question, How do you get an entire nation to get behind the slaughter of 6 million innocent people? You're watching it on your nightly news. I love you, dear friends. Democracy Now!, solidarity forever.